So you're thinking about moving to and living here in Jacksonville, but you have no idea where to start? Well, in today's video, we're gonna be touring one of Jacksonville's newest and hottest neighborhoods, and specifically looking at one of their amazing floor plans here in the area. So that being said, let's get right into it and check out this amazing model home now. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this model home tour. Now, I always like to bring up whenever these builders, they do these really large front porches. I absolutely love when they do this because again, when you're living here in Florida, it's all about being able to be outside. You know, if you've seen my other videos, you know what I'm talking about. I do mention it a lot, but it's just nice to have the big front porch to be able to hang out with friends, hang out with family, just be able to have another area to entertain with your house. Now, as we come in, you're gonna see right away, we have this nice tall door. And again, when we come in too, you'll notice too that we do have some higher ceilings with this floor plan. So one thing that this builder did with all their floor plans for this community that we're in today, which I will mention as we go through this video, is they increase the ceiling height in all their floor plans to make it feel more open, you know, more, I wouldn't say luxurious, so to speak, but just makes it feel more homey for sure. And a couple of things I do want to highlight right away is we do have some nice trim on the wall. It just really kind of creates again that focal point when people come in, really gives you a way to kind of break up the space, and it has a really great look overall. And then also you'll notice here too that the builder did that wood look tile floor throughout the whole house. And that wood look tile, I personally love it. It's super clean, super easy to manage while you're living in the house. So it does give it a nice look. Now, when we first come in, you're gonna see here, we have 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. So with a lot of these model homes we go through, builders typically will put 2 of the bedrooms together with the bathroom in the middle as a more of a traditional layout. So whether if you're watching this and it's an ICI home, if it's a Toll Brothers house, David Weekley, Dream Finders, Pulte, if it's any of those builders, you will normally notice this across the board as far as something that they do throughout their homes. Now, right away, I can tell you, we have these nice tall ceilings. As I've already mentioned, they actually put some recessed lighting in this space, which is kind of a cool concept. Something you could probably do with them at the design center or when you're building out your structurals. But also, it's just a very light and bright space overall. We do have some windows to bring some natural light in. And then with the closets too, I just want to quickly highlight this. But one thing that I love they did is they did the sliding closet doors. So again, you may think, okay, why is that a big deal, Justin? Well, and this is something that I always bring up with anybody who's building. And that's why I always suggest that you should reach out to me with a call, a text, an email to go over these things, figure out what makes the most sense. But here, with most of these homes, when we have these bifold doors that you'll see a lot, the bifolds, they constantly tend to break or have issues. And so it's just not as efficient as you would like to have for your closets, especially if you have little kids or young kids, because most likely they're gonna probably break those bifolds. So I'm not saying that the sliders can't break, and this one also has the sliders, but it's just less likely to, and it gives it a much, again, higher end look. Really just pops out more than those dang bifolds that do break a lot. And then here too, you'll see the taller ceilings again. Obviously it's a good size space. This is a queen size bed. We do have the 2 nightstands. We also have the dresser here. So it's one of those things that you can kind of get an idea of just how much you can fit in this space. And for the most part, it's a pretty good size, space overall to where I can walk through here pretty comfortably. But at the same time, could it be a little bit bigger? It could, but it's still a good size without that being the case. Then we have our first bathroom. Now this bathroom here, looks like they forgot to put the top back on. Sometimes it happens. But the first bathroom here, I will say I like that they did the lighter colored countertop. Some people could say that having the lighter quartz with the lighter cabinets might be too much white, but it's very clean and it contrasts these wood look, brown tile floors very well. And then also with the shower here, overall good size space as well. They did the shower tub combo, which they did that because you always want to have at least 1 tub in a house. So it's good that they did that, just that way you have that as well. And again, something I'm noticing throughout this, they did do these accent walls throughout every single space of the home, which it's nice because it definitely does just draw your eyes to it as well. So realistically, great layout when you first come in, especially again, if you're looking for your first home, or you're looking for your next home, it's nice to have that available to you. Because if you have little kids that you want them to be together, they definitely have that ability with this layout. But if you also have someone who's older or you have family staying with you, they also have their own space, which we'll get to right now. All right, so this next part of the house, like I mentioned, I like how they designed this because it really does give people their own space. We'll get to that space in a second, but over here, you'll notice we have our third bedroom. Now, this is by far their smallest bedroom. So it's one of those things where, especially if it's family or friends visiting, the cool part about a room like this is it's just big enough that they're comfortable, but not big enough to where they're too comfortable, if you get what I mean. Sometimes, it's nice to have family staying with you, but not for too long. But again, as you can see here, they have the bifold doors, or not the bifolds, but the sliders as well. So that's 3 straight bedrooms with the sliders. That's kind of one of the things that they made a standard with this model. Now, again, if it's a standard for this floor plan, you gotta reach out to me so I can let you know all about that as far as what's a standard and what's an upgrade with this builder we're here with today. But overall, as you can see here, they design as more of like a lounge, like study for like the kids. So you do have the couch here. You have a couple small desks for the kids to work on or work at. They still did some recessed lighting in here. And all of these fixtures you see here, obviously none of these are ceiling fans, but the builders always pre-wire it and pre-support it for ceiling fans because most people that live here tend to want those. But sometimes the builders like to go a little more creative with the light fixtures instead for their models. Then we have our laundry room here. Now the laundry room, I do like how it's tucked away over here. When guests are visiting, they're not gonna receive this space. You can close the door to really hide it. Again, continues the same flooring. And as you can see here, you have a side-by-side. They may even have an option to do a sink with it as well because you do have the room for it. But realistically, it does show you what you can do with the space. They even have a little bit of storage here that they left open. They include some furniture pieces for it. But I wouldn't be surprised too that if you did talk to them, if we discuss it with them, that they probably would frame that out as more of a closet as well if you desired. So different options you have there for sure. And then I am going to highlight too, just very quickly, the garage, simply because they did do the epoxy with the garage floor. So normally I like to highlight this just to be able to show you what you can do with your garage with the builder. But in this case, this builder did do an epoxy floor for all their models and is an option that you could do with them. And again, it just makes the space feel so much cleaner and it really just highlights it, especially if you are someone who's more of a car person. It's nice to have that epoxy floor for your car to be able to sit in every single night. Now, if you're someone who uses it as storage, maybe you don't care about that, but it's a cool feature nonetheless. We have a little linen closet there, and then it's gonna take us to the meat and potatoes or the trifecta of the house right now. So yeah, so overall with the trifecta of the house, I just love, when we're talking about the kitchen, the living, and the dining space, because that's really where you're probably gonna spend the most of your time, or at least that's where most people do. That's what I do myself. Now, something you may be able to hear in this, but they do have the surround sound speakers in here. That is one of those things that's gonna be an upgrade with the builder, but it does kind of show you what you can do. And it is cool having the speakers in here across the board if you wanna be able to entertain people, and it's easier to do sometimes with the builder than after the fact. But overall, we have our fridge, we have our nice size island with quartz countertops. Obviously the cabinets and countertops kind of match what we saw in the first bathroom. And the other thing I do like here too, is they actually did soft close cabinets with the space. Now, soft close cabinets is not always a guarantee. So I do love when the builder does that. Even if you have to pay extra for, it's awesome when they will, because once you've had soft close cabinets, you're never gonna wanna go back from them. Then here we do have our microwave with our oven stove combo. And with the oven stove combo, as you'll notice with the stove, it is a gas stove. So the reason that's important is because there's not many communities that are here in Jacksonville that have gas as a part of the community. So having a community like this that already has it is a huge bonus. So you don't have to worry about propane, don't have to worry about tanks in your yard. It's simply just piped in, which is a great thing to have if you're coming from up north or out west where you're so used to cooking with gas. Now, one caveat with that I will mention is that a lot of communities, especially newer communities here in the area, are starting to go more towards that gas with their appliances. So something that you will see more and more of, not just on our channel, but across the board when you're looking for a home here in Jacksonville, Florida. Also here, they do have the trash pull out. So that's nice, you know, not always something that's required, but nice to have. And then we do have our double sink here, overlooks our exterior. Now, as you may or may not see, it is kind of raining right now. Gotta love, sometimes here in Jacksonville, Florida, we do get quite a bit of rain. But overall, you know, good sized kitchen with how they utilized it. In the dining room here, as you'll notice, they do have the recessed lighting here as well. Tons of recessed lighting here in this house. They do have it, they don't have any fixtures there currently, but you have a spot there for a chandelier if you want it, even if a ceiling fan if you want that as well. But they just didn't do anything for this space. And this is a 6-seater table. So the thing with it being a 6-seater table is that, again, plenty of room for entertaining or just for you and your family, separate from the island. So nice to see that there. I will say that 6 is probably the most you're gonna be able to do here. You might be able to fill out it with an 8-seater, but between you and I, you probably wanna keep it towards a 6. So if you are watching this and you know you do have a larger family, you know, something to definitely keep in mind when looking at this floor plan is they don't necessarily have space for a huge dining room. Now, before we get to the living room, let's just quickly check out the back porch. So with the back porch out here, as you'll notice, you know, it is nicely covered, which is very important, especially for times like now when we may have some rain. So just something to kind of take into account. You know, not every builder, not every floor plan gives you a nice oversized covered porch like this. So it's a huge bonus to already have that for a day like today. And as you can see, they did do the pavers with the back porch. Probably an upgrade, it might be a standard. You'll have to reach out to me to find out more on that. But it is really nice to have the paver back porch. And one thing they didn't do, but you definitely could do, is they do have the ability to screen it in if you wanted to be able to not have to deal with any bugs or anything like that while enjoying your back, you know, porch. And as you can see here, we have the sliders that go with it. Nice low E glass sliders to be able to keep a lot of the heat out, but still get plenty of natural light. And then takes us to our living room. So right off the bat, I can tell you, this living room has something that I absolutely love. Now, if you've seen my previous videos, you probably know what I'm about to say. If you haven't, well, now you're gonna find out. And the thing that they have here that I absolutely love is this tray ceiling. So the tray ceiling, it adds an extra foot of height in this space. It also allows you to kind of sink in those recessed lights even further. And they even did some crown molding with it as well to really define the space and really give it a nice, elegant touch that really just makes the space feel larger, makes it feel, you know, bigger for when guests are over, but overall also just helps it flow so much better than if it didn't have the tray, because it kind of breaks up the space a little bit. We still have our wall windows here to allow us to have plenty of natural light. As you can see here, we can easily fit multiple couches. They even have a couple seats here. So the living room is a really good size overall. And because it's open to the kitchen and the dining room, you really feel like everything's connected here and it flows so well because of that. Another small aspect here we'll just quickly look at, as you can see, they do have the electric in the floor. That is most definitely something that if you are considering or you want with your house, definitely want to do with the builder. You know, it is going to be an upgrade typically, but that's one of those things that the last thing you want to do is have to break up the slab here to add it later. So that's something you definitely want to do with the builder when you're building with them. But with that being said, that kind of wraps up the living room. Now let's get to the next best place of the house, which is the primary bedroom. With this primary bedroom, one thing I love about it, as you'll see when we come in here, is that it's kind of tucked in here. And so with it being tucked in here like this, it really does give you that privacy that you would come to expect from a primary bedroom, especially for a home of this price point, which you will find out about that as we get further along in this video. But realistically, having it tucked in there, it gives you privacy, but it also allows the builder to kind of make it of a bigger space. So whereas the other bedrooms were a little bit on the smaller side, this bedroom, they definitely did not leave anything to chance with it. They definitely made it a really good sized space. You have the nightstands just like we did you know, with some of the other parts of the house, but here you have the nice oversized large king size bed. They actually did a cool thing too with the shiplap for the wall. They didn't do it the whole wall, so they still did the accent wall, but then they did the white shiplap in the middle to really kind of give it that more coastal theme, which you're gonna see that a lot with homes here in Jacksonville because of the fact that we are a coastal city and because of the fact that we do have quite a bit of navigable water here. So it has become a bit more ingrained with our culture here in Jacksonville. You also see here too, we do have a Nice sitting chair. We have the dresser, more items that definitely can kind of show you just the size of the space, because sometimes when you put more stuff in a room, it'll feel clustered, it'll feel tight. But in a space like this, there's still so much more room to roam, so much more room for activities, as they say. And it really does give you an idea of just how large of a space it is. But again, if you want to know the exact dimensions and specs, reach out to me and I'll help get that for you. And then we obviously have the nice windows here as well. So again, tons of natural light throughout this whole house. Things that I do absolutely love with it. So from the bedroom, we now go to the bathroom. Now with the bathroom, we do have the double vanity here. We also have the nice shower right here. So with the shower, they did a nice subway tile with it. We do have that seamless glass throughout it. So with the seamless glass, it allows you to be able to not have to do all the metal around it. It's just a much cleaner, much more high-end, sophisticated look with it. It is a little bit heavier, so you do have to have extra bracing with it. But when we come into the shower, it does have the nice step down here as well. So realistically, that's the cool part, is you don't have to worry about water coming outside the shower because it all stays in here. Now, one thing I would like to have seen, just to be fully transparent, is I would like to have seen the tile go up to the ceiling. It just gives it more of a complete look. But again, that's one of those things that the builder typically will do it. Sometimes it does require like an upgrade or additional cost, but you can only do it with the builder if you so choose. Double vanity here does match our kitchen, also matches the other bathroom. But with here, again, good amount of space. You still have the pullouts here. It is still all soft close to match what we've seen previously. So again, nothing to complain about there. Really good overall. And then the closet size, overall it's not too bad. And I know that sounds kind of like, not as exciting as the rest of the bathroom and bedroom, but it is still a really good sized closet for the space. You have to just always think about the lens of the house itself, because again, if the house only has so much size to it, some parts of the house will show it, some parts of the house may not necessarily show the size as much. But needless to say, still a good sized closet. They did do just the standard, metal kind of, metal organizers here. They didn't do any sort of custom closets, but you always could as well with the builder or after the fact if you wanted. So overall, you're probably curious, okay, what neighborhood are we in? What floor plan are we in? What's even the price point of, this model home we're in today? Well, overall, that's something that we're about to now jump into, is you're gonna find out everything about that and more. All right, so that's gonna wrap up this home tour of this amazing model home in one of Jacksonville's newest and hottest communities. So with this community we're in today, obviously this model is beautiful for what it has to offer. But the thing I love about it too is it's in a very premier location here in Northeast Florida, being in St. Johns County. So you do get some amazing schools with this area, and you also get some amazing amenities. Now, this community we're in today is the Landings. It's built by Pulte Homes. And the thing about it is a master plan community like some of the other ones that you may or may not have seen on our channel previously. But what's really cool about this master plan community is it's only gonna be about 1,300 homes. So what's cool about that is you don't have that feeling of you're just a number. They definitely wanna make sure that each and every person who buys in here is well taken care of and has the best house possible for them. But you also have that small neighborhood feel despite being in a master plan community and getting some amazing amenities, such as their pools and their other common areas. They also have boat and RV storage, which is something that you do not find very often. So you get a lot of bonuses with that as well. But really what I love about it is you are still in Jacksonville. So here in Jacksonville, I love the location being the fact that it's only about 45 minutes or so away from most major things like the beach, the St. John's Town Center. You are about an hour away from the zoo or from the airport, but you're also only about probably 30 to 45 minutes away from St. Augustine as well. So it's very easy to get to most things out here. In addition, being here in Northeast Florida, it puts you, only a couple hours away from Orlando, which is a huge bonus if you want to, go to the parks a lot with you and your family, but you don't want to necessarily live in or pay for Orlando pricing. And it also puts you about 3 to 4 hours away from Tampa, about 4 to 5 hours away from Miami, and about 6 hours or so away from Atlanta. So the reason I bring all this up is by being so close, so to speak, from all these major cities, you can easily make weekend trips out of it to those cities, and you don't have to worry about necessarily paying pricing to live in those cities, because you can get much better pricing here in Northeast Florida and still get some amazing schools as previously mentioned. Now, as far as where we're at today, like I mentioned, it's the landings, but this specific floor plan we're in is the Highgate floor plan. So this Highgate floor plan is one of their most popular floor plans, and it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath floor plan. It's roughly 1,775 square feet, and it does come with a 2-car garage, as you saw. And overall, for what you get for the price, you do get quite a bit, and it's a great way to kind of get your foot in the door for this neighborhood, because again, it's definitely gonna be very much a first-time home buyer friendly house, but also if you're looking for your next house, you're looking to downsize, it definitely gives you everything you could want to need in it as well. So it's definitely one of my favorites. Love to know if it's one of yours as well, so feel free to reach out to me to let me know if any questions you have on it, or if you could drop a comment on what you thought was the coolest feature you saw in this house, or maybe something that you would have thought that you'd like to see a change with. We'd love to know your thoughts on that as well. But overall, as far as this floor plan, here's the amazing thing with it. The base price on this floor plan right this second comes in at only $435,000. So for the ability to get into a neighborhood here in St. Johns County, here in Jacksonville, it's a great starting price to be able to add some design features to it, add some structural features to it, to truly make it one of a kind to you and your family. In addition, right now, Pulte is offering some pretty amazing concessions and incentives to you as a buyer. So keep in mind, when we talk about the price and we talk about these incentives, they're always subject to change. But right now, Pulte is offering up $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to use towards the design center for the home of your choice. In addition, sometimes they also are offering up the ability to reduce some of these lot premium fees for the lot that you and your family want. And lastly, when you use their lender, they also do pay up to 3% of your closing costs and prepaid. So tons of bonuses that you get here in this neighborhood with this builder that you may not always get across the board. So as I mentioned, those are always subject to change. So if you ever want to know exactly what the price is right here, right now in the landings for this home, or you want to know what the incentives are right this second, reach out to me with a call, a text, email, because I'm always happy to help. And with that being said, I'll see you guys again on our next model home tour.